What's up, guys? Welcome back to Heart Rock Garage. Today's episode, we're going to do another torch off-road leveling kit. Today it's going to be a kit that will fit your 2007 to 2022 Chevrolet or GMC half-ton truck. What we're going to do is 2.5-inch front, 2-inch rear. The front's going to be the strut spacers. The rear, we're going to have 2-inch blocks with U-bolts, and we're going to throw in some nice extended torch off-road rear shocks. So thanks for joining us, and let's get started. So here's your entire kit. This is going to be your front spacer, which is going to give you the 2.5-inch lift. The new studs for it, which I will show you what those are for as we go through the process. 2-inch rear blocks with the proper tapering for your drive shaft alignment. And 4 new U-bolts. Torch on them right there. Washers, lock nuts, and then we've got our new rear extended shocks from Torch Off-Road. So that's the entire kit there. Of course, like always, it comes with detailed instructions. You can go step by step. And a courtesy letter, of course, with a sticker pack. These guys always want to make sure we got everything we need and that we're doing it safely. So everything's on here. We'll go through this list as we go through the whole process here. This is for your front, and this is for your rear. Everything's in there step by step. So we'll go ahead and get the truck in here, and we'll get started on this awesome product here. Okay, so here's the truck. We're putting the kit on a 2013 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 LTZ. This is a really nice truck. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of a forward rake to it. This kit's just going to raise that front up a little more. Remember, this is a 2.5 front, 2 rear. So that's just going to raise front and rear both up and make it sit level instead of having that rake. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get measurements. We'll go on our wheel wells right here. The top of the tire, the bottom of the wheel well, we'll do that front and rear. Then when we're done, we'll come back and compare how much it actually raised it. Again, we're just going to go top of the tire, roughly the center as good as you can. And just go to your bottom of your fender here. And right now, top of the tire, we're at 5.5 inches. Okay, same thing on the rear. Just pick the center of your tire where it matches to your wheel well. Get your measurement there. We are at 7.5 on that one. All right, so we've got the front up in the air. We're on jack stands. I'll show you that in a second. What you want to do before you even consider pulling the wheels off or getting underneath it or anything else is do a little shake test. You just want to shake it to make sure that it's on your jack stand securely. They're not sitting crooked or at a spot of the frame where it could slip off or anything like that. Because hey, I think we're good. So once you've got it up on jack stands and the wheel is off, you're just going to go ahead and start with number 3 here. And that is remove the sway bar, end link, and hardware. This is your sway bar here. So what we're going to do, this is your end link. We'll just pull that nut off there. That way it'll separate from there. That'll allow the lower A-arm to drop down once we get our strut undone. Then number 4, remove the lower strut mount hardware and remove the nuts on the upper strut mount, okay? So here's your strut, of course. And up here's where your lift's going to come from. So we're going to, down here on this dog bone, we're going to undo these 2 bolts here, 1 on each side, 3 up underneath here. You can get underneath the hood or squeeze up in this wheel well here. It's kind of flimsy. You're not going to tear it up. Then remove the brake caliper and secure it so it does not overstretch. So what that is, I'll show you in a minute. We're just going to pull this off, and with that comes the brake line. And remove the upper ball joint nut. That's going to be right here. And then we'll separate it. I'll show you that here in a minute. And that's pretty much it. After that, we drop everything down, bring that strut out, and we'll put the new spacer on it. Okay, now we have our strut assembly removed. It's time to put our spacer on. How this works is you'll get a bag with your kit with 3 new bolts. These are the Allen socket head. And then what you're going to do is run these. You can see there's holes that have threads on them. So what you're going to do is where it's drilled out there, we're going to run these all the way in. There's only one spot it'll go in because there's only one of them that's threaded. All 3 new studs are in. Now, these other existing holes go on your stock studs here, and they'll only fit one way. Okay, so here's our spacer. New studs, old studs. The studs here stick up out above our new spacer. So what that will do is if they're sticking up, that's going to run into the cup where this coil spring goes in, your strut here. So what that'll do is keep it up high. You probably won't be able to bolt it down properly, and it'll just mess up the whole ride, and it'll be beating and banging. So what you've got to do with that, just make a little mark here on the thread. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut that off. So usually this bullet tip looking piece here looks like the head of a bullet. You can usually just cut that off and you'll be fine. Run your stock nuts back down on there. Okay, now we'll be able to make our cut. Okay, so we just want to cut right below that bullet on each one of them with our nuts on there. That's going to help us chase the threads when we're done. Okay, now that that part's done, here's the reason we kept these on. Pull these nuts back off, and it'll kind of chase your threads. Might work them a couple of times. It'll chase your threads back, that way you can get your new nut back on there. Yeah, I think that one will be good. All right, that one's good to go. Okay, now you put your spacer on. And all you want to do is make sure that those don't stick up above, and you're good to go. Cut right below that bullet on each one of them with our nuts on there. That's going to help us chase the threads when we're done. Here's the reason we kept these on. Pull these nuts back off, and it'll kind of chase your threads. Might work them a couple of times. It'll chase your threads back, that way you can get your new nut back on there. Okay, now you put your spacer on. And all you want to do is make sure that those don't stick up above, and you're good to go. Originals with this built-in washer are not going to fit down in that hole, so they're going to go on here. Your new ones, they're going to go right down in there. The new nuts, they go on your original studs that we just cut. One thing left before you take her in. So this is what's referred to as the dog bone. You can see how it's kind of angled a little bit. That's how it is seated on your lower control arm. So when you put this in, you're actually rotating, since we have this spacer on and we have different mounting bolts now, they're in a different position. You're actually going to be rotating this thing by 180 degrees. Just change the angle of it, put it back in. If you're lucky enough to have a vise like me, you can put this in there and spin it around. You can get a big crescent wrench, you can get a pipe wrench, however you want to do it, but you're just going to change the angle, just reverse it. Remember, if you're this way, you're doing a 180. Okay, so now we're going to go right back in with our strut spacer installed. Right back up in here. Yeah, come on. Come on, you know you want to. There we go. She's in. Now we get our stock nuts, put them back on top, and then we'll put our lower strut mounts in. Okay, so passenger side, driver side both in. Calipers, upper ball joint, sway bar link, brake lines, upper strut mounts, lower strut mounts, tie rod end. All that's tight, torque. You're ready to put your wheels back on. Come down easy. Easy. shake test it. Looks good. Let's get the wheels pulled off. Okay, so under the rear, we've got the wheels off. We're on jack stands. Good to go there. I'm going to take a 21 millimeter. That's going to bust off your stock U-bolts, and it's also going to get your shock mounts. Remember, we're putting new extended shocks on it from Torch Off-Road, so we're going to need to break all that loose. So all right, now that that's free, go ahead and get the U-bolts off. Now we'll go ahead and drop down slowly this axle. Just easy does it. You got to watch those brake cables there. Put the shock lower down. Comes in our new lift block for the rear with these really nice new U-bolts. If you look at this, flat on the bottom, tapered on top. So the taller of the taper goes towards the rear. Anyway, taller goes to the rear. This is your pin that takes place of this pin. So we're going to just slide that in the old position with the taper going forward. Put this back on yonder, and it's ready to go. Bring in the U-bolt. Get your old U-bolt bracket, your stock one. One flat washer and one nylock. Okay, that's pretty much it. We'll have to cinch it back up. I'm going to go ahead and put the block and bolts on the other side. Then we'll raise it back up, and I'll show you guys how we got to get all these pinholes lined up. Bolts on both sides. So what we're going to have to do is pick back up on this axle just a little bit at a time. Because we've got the we have to get our pins lined up, okay? So she's all lined up now. So remember, this was tapered, so you point the smaller towards the front of the vehicle. And what that does is aligns the pinion angle for your drive line. So you don't mess up your pinion gear in your rear end, U-joints, et cetera, and it can also cause a vibration. So the pin on the block that I showed you goes down. It goes in the original perch where this block used to go. So the top has a female hole in it. So the original pin that went on this perch now goes on this block. And then, of course, this block goes to the leaf spring like it used to on the pack bolt. So all you do is you get that lined up. Make sure your U-bolt nuts are on there. Make sure you're sitting in the saddle up here. Go to the other side, get it lined up, and then we just tighten her up. Your socket, your impact, your wrench, whatever you got, and just run these up evenly so all of your spaces here are collapsed even. You can easily get them crooked. You can get your drive line crooked if these pinholes aren't right and everything else. So just make sure as you tighten it, you're tightening it evenly. Boots on, new shocks are tight, installed and torqued down. We've got our leaf springs all torqued down. You can just double check that before you're done. So now that we've got that, we're going to throw the wheels back on it, and then we'll set it on the ground, and then we'll get our new measurements. Okay guys, here it is with the new ride height. Made it look pretty nice. We got our plenty of clearance in the front and rear now. So overall, really good look, really good for the price. So if you're interested in a kit like this, go to torchoffroad.com and put in that promo code HeartBrock10. That's going to save you 10% on anything Torch Off-Road. That includes the shocks we put on, the kit, everything. So go check them out, and appreciate you guys watching. As always, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.